Ecclesiasticus chapter 8, verse 8 through 9. Despise not the discourse of the wise, but acquaint thyself with their proverbs. For of them thou shalt learn instruction, and how to serve great men with ease. Miss not the discourse of the elders, for they also learned of their fathers, and of them thou shalt learn understanding, and to give answer as need requireth. Shalom, shalom. Before I begin this lesson, all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahak Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishop, and elders, a great millstone that rule well, and peace and blessings be multiplied on all you brethren pushing his word in all sincerity and in truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the 144,000. Shalom, this is the brother Dama Agabari with another lesson, Lord willing to edify and feed the lambs and sheep of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All right. And I started with this Ecclesiasticus, the 8th chapter, dealing with despising not the discourse of the wise and missing not the discourse of the elders, man. I feel like it says here, for they also learned of their fathers, and of them thou shalt learn understanding and how to give answer as need requireth. All right. And this is why, when the elders and the apostles give us certain testimonies about particular things, how when they came up in the schools and how, the trials and tribulations and errors and things that they saw while coming up, in the school before we came into this truth is very vital and is very important. All right. Because, a wise man will learn from the mistake of others. And this is why, here at Great Millstone, which we get a lot of slack, we get a lot of people talking SHIT, we get a lot of people who claim that we're this and we're that, because we don't have, these Israelite schools, and we don't have these schools where men and women are intermingling, where we're bringing all the family comes together, having men and women in the same room, because we know ultimately what goes on. We know that our people are a wicked and a rebellious and an adulterous generation. So it makes absolutely no sense for, having, how these like the IUIC and the ISUPKs and a lot of these other Israelite groups who are following after that same model, are having all of these issues dealing with adultery. As I'm pretty sure brothers have heard, I watched this video earlier today. This is from Biblical Bible Defenders. It says adultery in the IUIC. What happens with your women in the truth? I think that's what it says. Oh, in them schools, the sad situations. All right. And you see, and this is something that, the elders and the apostles, made straight when they first came onto YouTube, telling us how, it makes do not what under whatsoever, have your, this truth in your ministry where it's this big family affair where you're bringing women and men in the same rooms and in the same buildings, intermingling with one another, because what's ultimately is going to happen? Confusion and adultery. All right. The elders gave us the history of how you had adultery running rampant in the schools when you had the men and the women all in one school congregating against one another. You had sexually transmitted diseases being passed around. And I guarantee you that situations like that are happening in the IUIC. They're probably not going to come out and tell you that, but we know it's massive amounts of adultery running through those schools, man. And even let's say, even if it's not to the point of adultery, a lot of those guys are committing adultery in their minds. A lot of them women are checking out other men. Men are checking out other women. Women are looking at men of higher rank, and they probably have a husband who's not of a higher rank, wishing that she could be with that particular brother. That, these things happen, man. We know that these things are taking place, and these two individuals, I'm pretty sure, are not the only ones that are guilty of committing adultery, or that are committing adultery. But they just haven't gotten caught yet. And this is happening amongst a lot of these schools, and it's happening in a lot of these different organizations and these different Israelite groups, to where they let men and women mingle amongst one another, man. Adultery happens, because like I said, this is an adulterous and wicked generation. And this is why, the elders and the apostles said from the get-go, do not have women inside the school, man, because we know what's eventually going to happen. I remember, even when we first came into this truth, and we used to, when we were young and really know any better, even when we used to first hang out, and we would hang out with, we would call girls over and invite women over to hang out amongst the brothers, and, be a bunch of brothers and, 5 brothers, about 6, 7 girls, hey, the energy changes in there. Some brothers get more vocal. Some brothers get more bravado, You can sense a different form of spirit in there because, everybody is trying to move and operate and trying to, do what they got to do to try to get what they want. And it creates a very weird and it creates a very, the energy in there can get very weird and wicked, man. All right. This brother probably liked that woman, but that woman didn't like him because she liked that brother. It can cause more issues. It can cause problems, and how much more in these schools. You don't think that adultery is running rampant within these schools? A lot of flirting, a lot of, side eyeing, a lot of, and then you got these other Israelite groups. They be having women chat rooms. They in there gadding and cackling and talking all type of shit and, saying things they shouldn't be saying, exposing all type of secrets, saying this, saying that, because that's just the nature of women in general, man. Probably talking about how this brother can put it down and that brother, all that type of shit is going on within these different Israelite women chat groups, which is why, the women should not be involved in the ministry whatsoever. All right. The best thing to do is, let me get it in the scriptures, man. This is what they should be doing. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 33. For the Most High is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. And right, and one thing that's going to happen when you allow women to enter, to be inside of the ministry, to be amongst all these brethren and the elders and having all these different, family members and women and men and one big congregation and having, classes and all these things, is confusion happens, women being there yakking, talking their mouths, all type of craziness can go on because it's supposed to be a setting completely made for the men to get together and to, to be amongst one another, teach and edify and get put upon the level. You're not supposed to be having women and children inside the churches, inside the congregation like that. They need to be exactly where they need to be, which is where? Verse 34, let your woman keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also the law saith. And you can save yourself a whole lot of trouble is to just have your woman be at home. And if she wants to learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home. All right. For it is a shame for women to speak in the church. So, if it's a shame for a woman to speak in the church, and, we're dealing with these, these so-called Israelite women, which a lot of them are feminists. A lot of them are Hebrew Israelites, but feminists in disguise. They want to be opinionated. They want to speak. They want to have something to say. They want to, try to, usurp some type of authority, which is completely going off, which is why at the end of the day, the wisest thing to do is just to keep your women at home. If she wants to learn anything, let her ask you. As the scriptures say, it will save a lot of confusion. It will save a lot of headaches. It will save a lot of, acts of adultery from being committed, flirting, wandering eyes, it'll cut a lot of that hypergamous activity that's going to take place, because that's just the nature of a woman. They're always going to flock to a man that's of a higher authority or of a higher rank, especially in this Israelite thing of ours. You better believe you in amongst all these different, especially in a congregation like the IUIC, as big as they are, and they have all these different church, these meetings and classes and men and women mingling in one setting on a day, on a weekend and week out basis. The women eyes are wandering, men's eyes are wandering, dudes are in there talking to other men's wives, just shit that's just could lead to shit that you don't want to happen, man. That's why, like Elder Apostle Tahar said a long time ago, look, there ain't no more women in the school, man. All right. And it's just the safest thing to do. It's the most logical thing to do. And it's the thing to do so that confusion cannot take place, and you can have the members to be, somewhat in a more peaceful setting, in a more peaceful situation. Because whenever women are involved, drama ensues, gossiping ensues, unnecessary issues ensue. Shit, you have enough of that just be, even with just being just men. But how much more when you bring women into the equation? You see, and this is why what you see happening here is happening here, because if these men and these women were never able to intermingle and be in the same setting on a weekend and week out basis, they would have never had the opportunity to be getting to know each other on that type of level, exchanging phone numbers. They said this wicked ass nigga just was talking all this shit and these nasty text messages. Well, you got to watch the video to see. I'm not going to go too much into it, but you know, sending nasty pictures to the woman that's in the same school sitting next to her husband. He went in the bathroom and took a picture of his, you know what, and went and sat back down next to the same so-called brother that he just committed adultery with, talking about, hey, shalom, brother. You know, and we had a case like that out here in LA a very long time ago, man. You know, but it came from, you know, brothers, not being wise, but, congregating family to family just a little bit too much. And the worst scenario that you would never want to happen, man. All right. But, hey, it sucked. It was what it was, but it was a learning experience. And it further showed us this is exactly why, the woman should learn at home from her own husband. And it's not wise to be, having your families and intermingling, you being amongst other brothers' wives and, shit like that, because, hey, Satan is always in the midst, man. All right. So I'm not going to make this a very long lesson, but this is just, something that further shows and that proves that what the elders and the apostles, have learned from their elders and they pass it on to us is so critical, and why you should not, miss the discourse of the elders, nor, when they're giving you this advice of what happened back in the old school, to be aware and to understand that if it happened then, it's going to happen now. All right. And this is just things that happen in any setting where a bunch of men and women are in the same room together, especially amongst Jake, man. So you can just nip it all in the bud by just keeping the women at home, man. Not, trying to have a setup like Nate is having in the ISUPK. Like I said, it's not just IUIC. I'm sure a lot of these other Israelite groups is mad adultery running around amongst those different schools, man. Women get disgruntled. She needs a shoulder to cry on. I want to cry to this brother and I want to ask that brother. And then next thing you know, hey, the unthinkable can happen, man. You see? But at the end of the day, man, hey, this is why, we got to keep the main thing and follow and follow the orders that are given. Follow the orders that that are given down, and not to be disobedient nor to buck up against what it says here in 1 Corinthians about letting your woman keep silence and just letting them learn at home. You see, don't you know that this was happening in the book over there in over there amongst the Corinthians? They was doing all type of wickedness, man. You had sons sleeping with their fathers' wives. They had wife swapping. All type of wickedness was going on amongst these Corinthians, man. That's why Paul had to write such long letters and to come down upon them the way that he did, man, because you had a lot of that activity going on, and it's and it ain't no different now. It's a lot of slimy, grimy, wicked Jake that are in these different congregations that are calling themselves Israelites. And that's why, these guys need to be strongly vetted before you just allow them and their family to just come into the congregation, into this truth. A lot of them are not really fully converted. A lot of them have an evil eye. A lot of them are wicked. And a lot of them are not fully, walking in the fear of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. And it can cause a lot of confusion, and it can cause a lot of adultery to take place, man. And I'm pretty sure Nate and them probably got these guys out of there, but hey, he could have saved himself a lot of trouble by just not having the setup the way that he has it set up. But again, this is the popular setup that a lot of these Israelite groups want to have, because they're all about the numbers. They all want to have this unity. They want to make it seem like they're huge and family oriented and they got all their shit together. But really, behind closed doors, man, it's a lot of confusion and a lot of wickedness going on inside of these schools, man. But a lot of it could be nipped in the bud by just following instructions and doing as the scriptures say, to let these women learn at home, man. All right. And you'll save a lot of issues and a lot of drama and a lot of BS, man. So with that, I'm gonna close it there. Lord willing, this was edifying. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua for putting the spirit in me to do this lesson. Lord willing, you are edified. To the next one, shalom.